Hello YouTube divers, this is WaterDive 122 and I want to welcome you all back to another episode of Magic Metal Mondays. Yes, we are back down here in my studio, or the dungeon, whatever the heck you want to call it. The basement, the dungeon, the studio, whatever suits yourself. We're back in the original setting here today, and we are back here for another episode of Magic Metal Mondays. We are going to be doing another album review. Today we are going to be tackling an album that I have wanted to review for so freaking long. And, well, here you are. Today is the day we talk about Darkness Descends by Dark Angel, released in 1986. Now, this is the second Dark Angel album after the decent debut album that was We Have Arrived. They basically take everything off of that album and they do it way better here on this album. This is already a masterpiece. I adore Darkness Descends, but I've basically said that pretty much every time I've talked about Dark Angel on this channel. And today is the day we are going to find out the main reasons why I consider Darkness Descends to be an underrated thrash metal classic. So without further ado, let's get frickin' into it. The opening track is the title track, Darkness Descends, and the opening riff is just so catchy. It basically kind of reminds me of Enter Sandman from Metallica, like the opening riff on that song, but except this riff is much more heavier, it's much more complex, it's much more thrashy, for that matter. It's not nearly as commercial, but it's still a phenomenal song, nonetheless. The title track is a great song. Don Dottie, who is the vocalist on this album, this is the final album to feature him behind the mic. One of the best thrash metal vocalists of all time, in my opinion. He is just very unique when it comes to singing thrash metal. He has like those speedy vocals, and sometimes he even does like black metal screams throughout this album. And I really like that, and it's just so pleasant to listen to. It just makes you want to get in a mosh pit and just have a great old time. It's that great of a song. And then track number two, The Burning of Sodom, was the song that basically urged me to check out more Dark Angel. This song blew me away. I mean, it starts off heavy and fast and thrashy, and then it just never slows down throughout the entire song. This is an amazing song. Absolutely adore this track. Amazing. And this is basically the song that made me into a Dark Angel fan. I love this track. I can't say it enough. But it's not my favorite song on the album. That would have to come to track number 3, which is also my favorite Dark Angel song as of right now, The Hunger of the Undead. Another masterpiece of a song right here. Yes, it is a little bit slower compared to Burning of Sodom, but still, it doesn't look back on anything. The Hunger of the Undead is, in my opinion, just as good, but except, in my opinion, it's executed a little bit better. And, this song really is what solidified Dark Angel as being one of my favorite bands of all time. And really, one of my favorite metal bands, for that matter. I love this song. What more can I say? And then we get an interesting song to close off the first side of the album, if you're looking at it from a vinyl perspective. Merciless Death, which has a bass intro by Mike Gonzalez. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second because a couple months ago, like earlier this year, I did a album ranking for Dark Angel, and when I was talking about the album that followed, the 1989 album Leave Scars, I said that was the first album to feature Mike Gonzalez on bass. Not the case at all. Mike Gonzalez actually played on this album too. I still don't know if he was also on the debut album. But I do know that now that he played on this album as well. And he has a bass intro here on Merciless Death, and it kind of reminds me of Alice in Hell by Annihilator. The way how that bass kind of opens up the song. Similar type of stuff, but except it's longer on Merciless Death than it is on Alice in Hell, but still both are really great tracks. But Merciless Death, great song, great way to close off the first side. And then the second side, Death is Certain, Life is Not. One of the more slower tracks, and one of the more slower and less intense tracks on the album, but it's still freaking kick butt in every way, shape, and form. Again, Don Dottie is in his absolute element here on this song, and the guitar duo of Jim Durkin and Eric Meyer, they're probably two of my favorite, and they're probably one of my favorite guitar duos of all time. Those two are just so great together. And, of course, the insane drumming by Gene Hoglan is just... what more can I say? It's mind-blowing. And then we get the longest track on the album, the 8.5-minute epic that is Black Prophecies. Basically a song about concentration camps and, Hitler and, things like that. Kind of like Angel of Death by Slayer, but except far less controversial and far less well known. But overall, this is a great song. The guitar solos are once again mind-blowing. And speaking of mind-blowing guitar solos, the final song on the album, Perish in Flames, which is a masterpiece in of its own self. I love that track. The guitar solos on Perish in Flames, easily the best solos on the album. Easily. I mean, they're absolutely mind-blowing. Eric Meyer and Jim Durkin are in their absolute elements here. Absolutely phenomenal playing by those two guys. Of course, Don Dottie still in his element here. Sadly, though, this would be the final album to feature the best Dark Angel lineup, in my opinion, with Don Dottie, Jim Durkin, Eric Meyer, Gene Hoglan, and Mike Gonzalez. Although I like Dark Angel's second singer, Ron Reinhardt. In my opinion, he's not as dynamic as Don Dottie. He's not really as good as Don Dottie, but he's still a great thrash metal vocalist. Nonetheless. But overall, Darkness Descends, I've said it on numerous occasions throughout this channel, this is one of my favorite thrash metal albums of all time. Really, one of my favorite metal albums of all time. Like, it's in there in my top 15 metal albums of all time. It's a phenomenal album, and that is why I'm giving it a solid 10 out of 10 rating. What more can there be said? This album is underrated. This band is underrated. Dark Angel is underrated, and I suggest to anyone who loves heavy and aggressive thrash metal, like Slayer, Death Angel, Sepultura, Sodom, Creator, basically anyone from the Teutonic Four, go check out Dark Angel right now, because this is a band that I guarantee you, if you like this type of music, you will dig Dark Angel as much as I do. I love Dark Angel, one of the best metal bands of all time, and Darkness Descends, one of the best metal albums ever made. I love this album. 10 out of 10 for me. Great stuff. So with that said, that concludes this edition of Magic Metal Mondays. Thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is WaterDive122 signing out, ready to dive into more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.